Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're taking a closer look at something really common in garlic, Allium sativum.
Right, but specifically its historical homeopathic uses. We're drawing from William Boericke's Materia Medica.
Exactly. And our mission really is just to pull out the most, well, interesting or maybe even surprising bits from Boericke's on garlic. A quick dive for you.
Consider it a shortcut to Boericke's perspective. Let's get into it.
Okay, so Boericke starts with its action. He says it directly impacts the intestinal mucous membrane.
Yeah, boosting peristalsis, that movement in the gut. And he also talks about its vasodilatory properties.
Meaning it widens blood vessels.
Exactly, leading to potentially arterial hypotension, so lower blood pressure. He notes this can happen pretty quickly too.
Wow, that sounds, well, quite potent for just garlic.
It does. And what's interesting is who he suggests it's for. He mentions fleshy subjects with dyspepsia, indigestion, basically.
And catarrhal affections, like mucus.
Yes. And high livers, people who, indulge a bit. Also, those eating much more meat than they drink fluids.
Okay, so a specific type of person, why that focus, do you think?
Well, maybe the idea was that garlic could help sort of counteract the effects of those richer diets. An imbalance, perhaps.
Right. And this is where it's really intriguing for you. He connects this profile to pain, hip pain, and even the psoas and iliac muscles, those deep ones.
Yeah, that's quite specific. And even more surprising, he brings up pulmonary tuberculosis and hemoptysis, coughing up blood in the same breath.
It suggests a much wider potential use than just, stomach upsets.
Definitely. And the specific symptoms he lists are quite varied too. For the head, heaviness, that pulsing in the temples.
Oh, a catarrhal deafness, I guess mucus blocking things up.
Likely, yeah, affecting the eustachian tubes. Then in the mouth, he notes a sweetish saliva.
And that weird sensation, like a hair on the tongue or in the throat.
Exactly that. Moving to the stomach, a huge appetite, but also burning burps and easily upset digestion. Even minor dietary changes causing issues.
Sounds contradictory. Voracious appetite, but poor digestion. He also notes constipation.
Yes, with dull pains. And a very specific tongue appearance. Pale, but with bright red papillae, those little bumps.
Paints a picture, doesn't it? A digestive system both eager and struggling.
It does. And he connects this to the respiratory side, too. Constant rattling mucus.
Yeah.
A morning cough that's hard to shift, really tenacious stuff.
Sensitive to cold air, too.
Yes. And even dilated bronchi with quite unpleasant fetid expectoration described.
But then there's a flip side in lung issues.
Well, yes. He also observed, apparently, a decrease in cough and sputum, temperature normalizing, weight gain, better sleep, suggesting a supportive role in recovery.
Interesting. So not just aggravating symptoms, but potentially helping resolve them in some context. He also mentioned specific female complaints.
Briefly, yes. Pain and swelling in the breasts, and some eruptions, vagina, breasts, vulva, specifically during menses.
Okay. How did homeopaths sort of categorize this? Boericke mentions a doctor test.
Right. Test placed Allium sativum in the Bryonia group, alongside things like Lycopod, Nux vomica. And interestingly, there was this idea it worked better on meat eaters.
Than vegetarians. Huh. Ties back to that high liver idea, maybe.
Possibly. Boericke also compares it to capsicum, arsenic, senega. He notes a complementary relationship with arsenic.
And lycopod as an antidote. So if the garlic remedy was too strong, perhaps.
That seems to be the implication, yeah.
What about dosage? It varies.
It does. Generally, he suggests the 3rd to 6th homeopathic potency. But for TB, in a specific state, he mentions a much larger dose, 4 to 6 grams daily.
That's a huge difference. Not a homeopathic potency at all, really.
No, quite a material dose. Shows the flexibility or perhaps the different schools of thought even then.
So summing up this dive into Boericke, traditional homeopathy saw garlic, Allium sativum, as quite a specific remedy.
Very specific. Acting particularly on digestion and respiration, linked to certain patient types, diets, and a whole constellation of symptoms, more than just a flavor.
Absolutely. It really makes you think about how common things were viewed historically, the potential seen in them. The detail in Boericke's descriptions is quite striking.
It certainly is. And it prompts you to consider, the different ways health and medicine have been approached over time. Maybe even find surprising potential in everyday things.
A fascinating look back. Something for you to ponder after this deep dive. Until next time.
손이 가서 비니까